known offender or whereabouts.
As tempers flare, officers come under pressure.
Either you catch him or I'll catch him and I'll fly.
And boozed up football fans
You're biting your nose off.
Taking the keys off. You're not having the keys. Okay.
lose control.
Pack it in! Pack it in!
Police emergency. What weapons have they got in the hand? Where is he now?
With drunken violence a constant pressure on cops across the UK, during the month of the Euros, officers are stretched to the limits.
We've had a call from a male at Wise, one at Ashbourne. Been threatened with a baseball bat.
14 miles northwest of Derby, traffic cops Chris Wells-Jackson and Dave Shaw are responding to a report of a drunken fight.
There's an allegation of drink driving, but mating has been threatened with a baseball bat.
They're dangerous. We don't know whether you've got weapons. We've got to take appropriate action to deal with that.
The suspects have escaped in a black Golf.
Ops units be advised with this vehicle showing to have no insurance. We do have warning markers on it for weapons, knives, carries all of them. If you do stop that vehicle, just to be aware.
We're aware of this vehicle because it failed to stop for road policing a couple of days ago, so we've got an interest in this vehicle. But obviously there's a high risk it failed to stop with it. LA Oscar Tango 15. Just in case this vehicle's cited for the log, the suit management trained marked vehicle.
From an 8 to all units monitoring this channel, we've just had an ANPR hit with this vehicle.
Units deployed now across Ashbourne doing a search.
Hey, Tango 49.
Close by, Chris spots the car.
CPR and this Golf. Got contact. A52. Contact.
Straight away, the hair stand up on the back of your neck and you think, I need to stay with it because this guy's dangerous.
A52, travelling towards Ashbourne.
Chris tails the Golf while Dave races to assist.
I'm going to try and find a suitable spot to get a stinger ready.
First to first, A52 towards Mayfield.
I'm in Mayfield with a stinger.
He is 60 to the 40.
Come on.
We're now into stats. It's a near side indication, but it's failed to take that near side.
It's gone past the end of the road.
He's continuing into the 50s. It's now Swinscoe Hill.
With the suspect avoiding the stinger, Chris needs backup.
Right. Down the dirt track. It is Birds Grave Lane. Lift it up, vehicle is failing to stop. MH01 monitoring, failed to stop, pursuits authorised, continue the way. Speed is 50, single track road, no traffic or pedestrians.
The driver, he clearly knows where he is, and I don't know what his plan is. I don't know where he's heading towards. I can only second guess what he's going to do.
Yeah, to the right. I can't see how many occupants there are. The vehicle is being driven quite steadily. Speed now 60.
Driving 60, 70 mile an hour around country roads. He's driving on the wrong side of the road. I need to bring it to a conclusion before he puts it through somebody's house.
Speed's increased now. I think he's just trying to get some ground down into the camp.
There's a big dip in that road that if he hits it at speed, he's going to take off and he's going to end up in a field.
As the dangers increase, Chris is forced to back off.
Temporary loss, went over a narrow bridge, off round to the offside over the narrow bridge. Total loss.
At the earliest opportunity, he's going to ditch that car and he's going to run.
He's going into that car park.
The suspects have dumped the Golf and disappeared.
We've now got to get an area search conducted.
While Chris begins searching,
Oh, there's the car, look.
Dave and other units arrive to help hunt for the runaway.
Just be aware, there's a dog on the ground. If you go to your right, you got a colleague to your front.
He's got warning markers for being involved in other incidents in the past. The incident tonight involves a possible baseball bat, so straight away you're thinking, even if we do get hold of this guy, is he going to be violent? Is he going to use weapons towards us? What is he capable of and what is he willing to do to get away?
Get up now!
This guy, I've located one there, I'm just trying to get to him.
Chris, have you got the driver?
Tis him, he's admitted it to. Don't bring the dog here. You're under arrest.
Yeah, no.
Failing start, dangerous drive, okay, you don't say anything, my own defence,
No,
you don't mention one question.
Yeah,
Something reflect on any court to you, say maybe giving an evidence.
That. I've got a cut here on my top of my eye.
How have you done that?
I can't tell you that, can I?
One of them, is it?
Hey, what?
Right, stand.
Get over here.
Stand there, I'm going to help you have it.
You know what, I like you. You know what? You're the best copper I've had. Can you take the handcuffs off so I can run?
No.
Tell you what, I'm pissed right for it.
Well, whose fault's that?
You love chasing me. Hey, up, how are you?
I'm alright, Duck, how are you?
Bit cold.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what do you think I am? Warm? Go on, swap trousers with me.
Do you think I'm going to do that?
Go on.
You're attracting all the bugs and everything, look.
Hey, I'm not bothered. That's your lies.
What, you doing to your head anyway?
I'm not taking no comment.
No comment?
No comment.
Oh, aren't you smart?
Hey, smart, hey.
Just sit down, chill out.
I'm chilled out, I just don't want to... Can I stand here instead?
No, I don't want you that close to me. Go and stand over here. Don't come and get in my face.
Bother, nah.
Stand there.
Do, I'll put your bite nose off.
Really?
Yeah, well come here closer. Come here closer.
You just need to
Come
calm
here
yourself
closer.
down.
Yeah, and I'm calm. And I stood next to you, and you grabbed me. Go on then. Look. Yeah, I'm standing with you, and I've just stood next to you. Get your arm off me.
You don't come and stand next to me like that.
Yeah,
all right?
Told you.
Relax.
And I was 2 meters away, you prick.
Relax.
Come here close and I'll bite your nose off.
Relax.
Look, tell him, I'm standing with you, don't
Just
get
chill
near
out.
me again. I'm telling you now.
Chill out.
No. Tell him, get gone. Listen, look, what's your name? Chris, tell him to go now and I'll be calm. Yeah, and I'm calm.
If you don't get control of somebody quickly, then you don't know what they're capable of doing. So at the same time as he's being aggressive towards Dave, I've still got to keep calm with him and keep him sort of on my side.
Will you just calm down for me a second?
Calm yourself down and we'll get you
I'm
up.
sound.
Right, let's get you up then and try again. Listen, I don't even know what your first name is. What's your first
I'm
name?
not going to tell you my first name, and
Right,
don't you ever
okay.
say that, Chris.
Conversation's over there.
Right, Chris? No, because I don't
You
want
don't
to
come and
speak to you.
stand. You don't come and
I don't
stand
want to speak
that close.
to you.
It's threatening.
No, Chris, tell him now.
If
It don't work like that.
You wait till custody now when my handcuffs are
Yeah?
off. I'm going to whack you straight up in the...
All right,
You
that's good. You just need to calm down.
Yeah, I'm calm.
Right?
I'm calm.
Well, you're not, are
You've
you?
been aggressive
You're
to me.
shouting, you're
No.
making threats,
No, it's not
and you're
threat.
being
It's not a
aggressive.
threat, it's a promise.
And you're being
It's a
aggressive.
promise.
I'm not.
You're going to talk to me now.
Chris, I've got respect for you. I've got respect to... I've got no respect for you.
I don't want your
Are you gonna
respect.
talk- are you gonna talk to
All right, we're here to
Dickhead,
look
man.
after you and
I've
calm
got-
you down.
Alright, I suspect you've been driving a motor vehicle on the road, okay? I suspect, suspect you've been driving a motor vehicle on the road, okay? Potentially have to eat alcohol in your body. You're required to provide with sample breath analysis, okay?
No, I'm alright, thank you.
You're going to fail to provide?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
No, I don't like... He's got asthma.
Okay, I
Look.
still have to arrest you further for failing
What
to
do you
provide though, because I'm asking you to provide for me.
No, I just said you can
So
do
you're
a
telling
blood.
me you can't blow into this for about
Asthma.
5 seconds?
I've got asthma.
You want to have a go?
No.
Okay then.
You can
Just
do
to
your
remind
blood,
you,
whatever you do.
just along the course. I can't take your blood at once. I'm not a qualified
Hey, we're not in the
person.
road, so we're in private.
I'm not a nurse. I can't take your blood.
Hmm.
So, you're under arrest, failure to provide, okay?
How are you?
Denying any knowledge of the car, driving, anything. He's failed to provide. He's saying that he's got asthma, but that's not a medical reason at this point not to try and even provide a sample of breath. He's just being awkward about it. Thinks of alcohol, he's clearly been drinking. He'll be down to an interview in the morning, and there'll be an element of dependency on the officer that saw the vehicle earlier on as well, if he can identify who the driver was. So, some inquiries to do.
Go on, top and all.
Despite his denials, the man is taken to custody for questioning. Coming up,
I will drive his car out. Not if you had a drink, you won't, will you?
Yes, I will.
A drunken football fan refuses to play ball.
Keys off. You're not having the keys.
Okay.
And cup final night chaos
Now a savage, unknown offender or whereabouts.
puts lives at risk.
Pack it in! Now! Pack it in!
Are you behind it, Ned?
With the nation gripped by football fever, throughout the Euros, drink drivers and drunken assaults are keeping the traffic cops as busy as ever.
Yeah, you've got it stopped.
It's quarter-finals night. PC Carl Jackson's on his way to help a colleague with a suspected drink driver.
There's reports about a BMW that's drink driving into the Alfreton area. Another unit is with it now, so we'll just go and join him. It's still a common thing, unfortunately, drink driving. We deal with them all the time, and it's frustrating. We've got Euros on at the minute, so plenty of football for people to watch down the pub that still decide to drive home. I'm with him now.
Whilst a colleague deals with the driver, Carl speaks to the passenger who's the owner of the car.
Basically, I've had a beer.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of beer.
Yeah.
I've not been driving this car.
Okay.
My mate has. Just had a barney with the missus.
Yeah.
I will drive his car home.
You'll drive what car home?
My car.
Not if you had a drink, you won't, will you?
Yes, I will.
Well, no, you won't.
Yes, I will.
Why will you? You get locked up if you're going to try and do that.
Right, well, listen, mate, I'm not here to argue. Right, am I?
Well, you are at the minute, that's all you're doing.
Instantly with this chap, I know he's going to be a difficult character. He uses language in a sense that he's in charge. He's dictated to me what's going to happen and how things are going to work.
Right, okay. Well, you can't drive that. Give me them keys then.
No.
I think you're going to drive it. You're a risk.
I'm not gonna drive
so we just said you are. Twice you've told me that now. So give me them keys.
I'm not going to drive it. Listen, I'm not a violent person, so I don't know what you're grabbing me for.
Right. If you're not violent, that's fine. I want those
Right.
keys, please.
I've never been done by the coppers at all. At all.
Well, that's commendable.
Right.
There's no reason for you to get done now, is there?
Listen, lad, I've got my opinion on you lot.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah? It's not very good.
Okay.
Right.
With the man refusing to hand over the car keys, there's an update on his drunk friend.
Have you seen him driving it?
Yeah, he's driving.
Yeah, but you've seen him...
That's my car, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's failed it, so he's going to custody.
Yeah, I want the keys. Has he got insurance to drive it?
No, he ain't got licence or insurance.
Right,
I've got insurance, I've got licence, I've had it 15 years, no claim.
Give me them keys, please.
Please.
Give me them keys, please. Listen,
Okay.
you're drunk and you
I am
threatened to drive that car.
I have openly
It's
said
been
I'm
driven
drunk. I'm
with.
not
It's
drunk.
been driven by somebody without a licence or insurance, so it's going to get seized.
What do you mean by seized?
As in seized, taken away. I want keys for that car.
No, you're not having the keys. You're not having the keys to my car,
Jen,
mate.
I'm telling you now,
Oh,
you're not
God.
going to be violent like that with my colleague, okay? We'll be taking the keys off.
You're
yeah?
not having
We
these.
will. Okay. All right. There's no swearing in a public place either. All right. We are taking the keys off here.
Listen.
You could have just given them to me.
Right, put them in your pocket now.
Right.
Stop telling everyone what they're doing.
I'll look after
We're
the
in
keys.
charge of what's happening, not you.
I'll look
Okay.
after the keys.
God knows how much he had to drink, but he's very, very drunk. Telltale sign of the drunkenness is we tend to almost be on a loop explaining things over and over and over again as to why certain things are happening, and it just doesn't register with drunk people.
Do you want to be honest with you?
Who did the vehicle come back to, please?
I have been involved with, locked up with the cops before with football banning order, racism, Asian.
His attitude then changes to be quite pleasant with me and chatting to me in a nice way, and then saying I'm actually all right, even though he hates police, I'm all right. And you kind of think, well, I'll run with this. We'll have a nice chat now and an easy time for 5 minutes.
That party going on there.
No, it's going on there.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
Mate.
He goes back to being a difficult character again. It's just typical behaviour. It's what you get used to.
All right, the car's going to go on the back of that thing, and then I'll get the stuff out of it for you. Listen, you're not in charge here. The car is going on the back of the... No, you haven't. You've been all right with me for a little bit, but not from the start. And now you're turning again.
Mate, don't touch me. I mean, don't touch you.
Drive it. If you drive it on there, pal. Stand back here. Don't try and be hard.
Listen.
Stand here.
Listen.
I'll get the stuff out of it in a minute.
I'll come to the car with you.
You're not getting in the car.
You ready for me to reverse the car off? Come on.
You're not going to reverse it off, but you might sit in it and be a bit of an idiot. So stay there.
I think it's right then.
If you're going to get aggressive, then you can forget it.
Meat.
It's your car, mate. Forget it.
No, listen.
Either take it out or I'm shutting it, because this vehicle is now going. And you're going to delay it, I'm not going to let it.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Now you listen to what I'm saying. Either take it out of the boot or I'm going to shut the boot and you can forget about it.
Right, listen to what I'm saying, right?
You're not getting in the back of that car. And I think you're going to try and sit in it and then stop me from getting it recovered. And I'm going to end up locking you up, which I'm very tempted to do now anyway, because you're still obstructing me now.
Just want my stuff round.
You get your stuff tomorrow.
The RTC.
Yeah, fine, you need to go, pal. It's no good being nice now when you want something.
Chat me and you.
No, you can go. I've had enough of you. Car's going, you're going. Simple as that. You've been a pleasure. Put your belt on. Cheers, pal. Policing can be quite difficult when you're dealing with people who make things a lot harder than they need to be. Essentially, what was going to happen in that job was exactly what ended up happening. His car gets seized because he's allowed his mate to drive it, who has no licence or insurance. And on top of that, his mate was drunk anyway, so his mate's been locked up. But then, like a child, when he didn't get his own way, he throws his toys out of his pram and goes all mardy, and that's what he did. So essentially, he just made a bit of an idiot of himself.
Any Tango 26 for code 2.
Whether it's drink drivers or boozed up football fans fighting, dealing with the effects of drunken disorder often puts traffic cops like PC Chris Ryan in harm's way.
Sporting events in general, I would say, have a massive impact on policing.
Can I just have the incident number, please?
All you can hear is the radio constantly going.
Kicking off, mum's drunk, about to get in a vehicle and drive.
2 radios together with the amount of jobs coming in.
People talking, passing jobs, trying to get help.
Any Tango 26 for code 2. For at least the last 3 games, including this one, we've had to cancel hundreds of cops' rest days, bring them in when they should be at home with their families, merely because people can't behave themselves. It's the quietest you'll ever find a police force during a big event like the Euros final. And afterwards, it'll be the busiest period you'll ever find in a police force.
20 minutes after the end of the penalty shootout, Chris is called into action.
Limited details, we've had loads of calls. We've now had a stabbing, unknown offender or whereabouts.
As you say, it's a report of a stabbing.
Here's some ops units travelling first instance. Here's the football unit travelling from town as well.
We've put on additional resources. We know it's going to be busy. We know there's going to be disorder. So we plan for that. But it doesn't mean that we have an endless supply of cops.
The special units that are on for football can't go to this because there's so many fights erupted generally around the city. Ultimately now we're going to this, which is a report of either a stabbing or a double stabbing. There's a bit of confusion over what's actually occurred. But it's at a pub or outside a pub, as expected.
As Chris approaches, more information comes in.
We've got a notice on the log here. It's a route sure that's been mentioned. They're using that pub as one of their active football party site locations.
Yeah, I found the pub on State 6. There's an ambulance here already.
The main thing for the police is preservation of life. The first thing I need to do is find that victim. I'm hoping it's outside. The last thing I want to do is go into a pub on my own, because it won't be the safest place for me to turn up into.
Say that again.
Just first room on your right.
First room on your right. An 826, I fancy me from the ambulance crew. They're saying that it's inside, to the right.
That's his bag. His phone's in there.
Pack it in! Pack it in! Pack it in! Now! Pack it in! Pack it in! Pack it in! Calm down!
And just Tango 26. Have you got more people coming for us to assist? There's a lot of people here who just need assistance trying to create some space for the ambulance crew at the minute.
The ambulance crew look worried. The lad on the floor screaming, he's been stabbed. I don't expect any different. Drunk people aren't rational people. You can't have all these people crowding round, getting on top, tensions getting high, potentially starting more fights. You just need these people to listen to you and move out of the way. Fortunately, colleagues walking behind me.
He's in here to the room, just on the left-hand side. His mate wants the trolley out of here. That's what we need at the minute, yeah. There's a couple of people on licensing, that's it.
With backup on hand to disperse the crowds, Chris checks up on the condition of the victim.
I know you guys are busy. What's the initial assessment? So we can...
Stab wound, lower back, right side.
One.
How deep? Just the one.
Thank you. Basically, he's got one stab wound to the lower part of his back.
Yeah.
They don't know how deep it is, but he's currently stable, no issues. But he's going to QMC to have it properly looked at. At the minute, they're just trying to pack it as best they can. He's saying that he's not stabbed where we found him. He's saying it's happened outside of the main entrance.
While local officers control the crowds, Chris searches for witnesses to the stabbing.
You'd like to think with that amount of people, we'll have lots of good witnesses. The problem is drunk people are very, very unpredictable. Generally talk rubbish.
So if you're able to help, yeah. But if you're able to help, that's good for us. If you do know more,
I wish I knew. I'll tell you straight away. I'll tell you straight away.
He just said he was here.
I was here. Yeah.
He just said he was here.
No, I was here. I seen it all outside. What I'm saying to him is, I hope they get the CCTV. But it happened so fast.
Where exactly does it happen? Because he can't remember.
Right here. On this front bit. It was
where it says lounge.
I've never on the side bit. I've never seen so many weapons.
Yeah.
Great, horrible. Never come out again.
With witnesses unable to identify the suspects, the casualty is being taken to hospital with knife wounds. Coming up, as the investigation into the stabbing continues,
Priority if we've got another job coming in. Let's go.
there's more cup final night chaos.
Next job, an assault at a hotel in the city.
All you can hear is the radio constantly going.
You've got firearms within a traffic unit.
And 2.5 hours after the final whistle,
Take it. Is it this car?
a suspected drunk driver fights for his life.
Because he's against the tree, it's harder for him to get him out.
First room on your right.
First room on your right.
In Derby, 20 minutes after the Euro final,
Pack it in! Pack it in!
officers are dealing with a report of a double stabbing,
Mate wants the trolley out of here.
with a casualty being taken to hospital with knife wounds.
Stab wound, lower back, right side.
His attackers are unidentified,
If you're able to help, that's good for us.
but as the investigation gets underway,
Tango 26.
traffic cop Chris Ryan is contacted by control.
Priority if we've got another job coming in. Let's go.
Whereabouts was that? I can start to make my way. Next job, an assault at a hotel in the city, whereby they believe that 4 offenders involved have all disappeared into one of the hotel rooms. So they're just trying to generate enough cops to be able to go and lock them all up.
You've got firearms within a traffic unit.
It's a robbery, potentially with weapons involved. We don't know exactly what those weapons are. I'd be very surprised, because of the football, that these lads haven't been out drinking. We need a lot of officers to be able to grab the people, transport the people, get hold of the forensics, get hold of clothing, get hold of weapons, and then any evidence that might be in that room.
An 826 mistake 6 at the...
Thank you.
We work on an operational support department which is designed to support the local areas as best they can. So my job, when I get there, is to see how I can help them.
What room number is it, please? Thank you. Yeah.
Directed up to one of the rooms where we find a few colleagues spread out across a couple of rooms trying to deal with multiple people.
Just bear with me, mate. I just need to go and look at CCTV offenders.
It's all right, yeah.
Chris keeps an eye on the 4 suspects, whilst local units figure out if anyone else is involved.
Tom just spoke to him, he's looking at CCTV, he thinks there might be another room with potentially another 2 offenders. They're just trying to get to the bottom of it.
As officers check CCTV...
Do you want to get hold of both of them?
Chris spots 2 young men leaving the hotel.
Yeah, we'll walk.
Just walk back to the...
Yeah.
Fine.
Come on.
Sam.
I said I can throw the police
Have
chasers.
you been in trouble before?
Yeah, a couple of times. Sorry,
What's your
that
name?
wasn't me on purpose.
No, what's your name?
We grab hold of these lads who instantly know that they were going to be grabbed hold of, which normal people don't.
Either way, I'm not going to kick off, because I know that if you arrest me, take me yourselves, if I'm kicking off, it's going to make it a lot longer. I was kicking off last time you met me, I remember you. I do. I was beating my best friend up.
While local officers arrest 2 more suspects,
We've got an attempt robbery on 1324.
Chris receives another alert.
Yeah, their local channel's not stopped. I think there's another stabbing on a different section, possibly related to the one that we went to a minute ago.
But before Chris responds, he's diverted to another call.
Police emergency. How many vehicles are involved?
So the report is a 1-vehicle RTC with a 45-year-old gentleman that's been trapped in one of the vehicles. It sounds as if it's come off the road and swiped into the car. Is it a post or a tree? They've dispatched a fire engine already and also an ambulance.
I expect him to either be drunk or on drugs, if not on both, because you don't drive around on a relatively slow speed road and crash into a tree so hard that you trap yourself in that vehicle.
Take it. Is it this car?
On arrival, traffic cop Craig Young is at the scene.
At the minute, because he's against the tree, it's harder for him to get him out.
You bagged him yet?
Can't get into him. You've got to get him out first. The person that's with him now did that to him, and he looks absolutely gone. Whether or not they're going to bring him out through the passenger door, or they'll create a big enough space where the tree is and get him out from the side of the tree, or failing that, they'll even bring him out the back of it. I've just speak to one of the fire commanders and just double check, but he's still conscious and he's still talking with EMAS, so that's a good sign.
He's very, very lucky. It could easily have been a fatal accident straight off before we even get there.
While fire crews struggle to free the driver, Craig checks the car he hit.
These ones, they take some punishment, but I think this one's, not a lot's going to be left of this one, I'm afraid. At the moment, from what I can gather, he's travelling from the direction of the motorway and he's coming straight down. He's lost control some way, shape or form. He's clipped this as he's lost control, and then from what I can gather, his vehicle is going to continue on its side, going a long ways, and he's literally come to stop in the tree.
Minutes later, the fire service managed to rescue the driver.
Injury-wise, I don't think they're that concerned, but they're going to do a full check on him on the ambulance, and I can update you from there. Once I get the knock from the paramedics, they'll say come in and have a natter, and then hopefully he is fit enough to give me a breath sample, which will then give me an indication of where we go from there.
While the paramedics care for the injured driver, Chris and Craig inspect the damage to his car.
But it could have been crushed a lot more if he'd hit this head on. It could have been a lot worse for him. It looks like he'll be very, very lucky.
Because he's took a good chunk out of the tree, hasn't he, as well?
Well, yeah, you got this branch here where
That could have gone through, that would have gone through, but because obviously it come back on itself.
Yeah.
That's where all the intrusion. It's complaining of leg pains, but they don't know if it's actually broke anything, but they'll find out when they go.
After a check on the casualty, Chris has more information.
The gentleman that was first dealing with him said he's mentioned coke.
Cocaine
and
as well.
he doesn't know whether or not he meant a can of coke, which I suspect not, and actual coke.
Special white powder.
Special white powder.
Got you.
You can tick that at the same time. It's easy enough, isn't it?
Absolutely plastered. He's completely plastered.
Yeah.
And he's being aggressive towards the ambulance staff, because he gave me they weren't driving as well.
I see.
Yeah, I got that.
Did you mention to him he was trapped in his own vehicle?
Trapped in your own, weren't me, I weren't driving. Okay, fair enough.
Not being the driver is a common story. Not being the driver whilst trapped physically in the driver's seat, I've only heard a couple of times because it's just so ludicrous.
There's an update from the paramedics about a change in the driver's condition.
Because of the head injury, this is why he's been quite combative.
Yeah.
He's been that way, but they can't establish that he's been in for a scan. So they're saying potentially could be life-changing, and obviously the break to the femur. So again, oh, hi guys, you're right. So that's what he's just said. Potentially could be life-changing because of the impact of the head injury, and that's why he's being awkward. Potentially could be that.
Not drugs and alcohol.
Well, I'm sure the drugs and alcohol are a factor in this, but when you go by what they said.
It's a massive strain on resources that's not necessary, because that gentleman, through his own choices, has got in that vehicle and made a choice to drive. He's then crashed his car at such a speed in such a manner that he's got himself trapped, which means 2 cops, an ambulance at that point, an off-duty paramedic, 2 fire engines are all there for several hours trying to deal with him.
Although the man is suspected of crashing whilst drunk or drugged, the police investigation will have to wait for the driver to be checked over at hospital. Coming up, the Euro crime wave continues.
We have taken a report of a robbery.
Yeah, 2-4.
As traffic cop Carl is called to a report of an alleged violent robbery.
You've got 2 choices. Either you catch him or I'll catch him, and I'll fight. Come on.
We have taken a report of a robbery.
Yeah, 2-4.
In Derbyshire, a surge in drunken violence during the Euros is keeping the police under pressure.
What's been stolen?
Mobile phone.
Traffic cop Carl Jackson is on his way to an alleged assault and robbery 15 miles north of Derby.
In order for it to be a robbery, not just a theft, then they have to sort of use violence or the fear of violence. In this case, in order to take the mobile phone, they've assaulted this person.
Apparently the offender is drinking in the hotel. The first male is white male, blue jeans, black jumper with a Burberry cap. Second male is a black male, black t-shirt with white writing.
To catch someone red-handed, then you need to find them with that property on them, and the sooner you find them, the easier that is.
Just look for the descriptions being given of those 2 people.
With the victim on his way to hospital with head injuries, Carl and local officers begin a search for the suspects.
I need to find these people because what they've done is horrible. And the person they've done it to needs some justice.
Carl speaks to the victim's friends.
Oh, the mate's room, not outside there.
Folks,
Daddy's room next.
You've got 2 choices.
Either you catch him or I'll catch him.
Right.
And I'll fight him.
Right, okay.
So there's two choices.
Right, well, that's not a good choice,
And
is
you
it?
can arrest me, I don't
Well,
give a shit.
well, we would.
I fully understand his anger. His mate's been assaulted and had his property stolen from him. But that type of behaviour hinders the police trying to deal with it.
Who's where, sorry? The two that have stole the phone?
Takeaway.
The takeaway. Can you just ask the local to come to the marketplace? These two lads are in the takeaway on the marketplace, apparently. I'm just walking around. All right.
I'm having a good time. How are you?
Lads, I need to speak to you two in particular. There's been a report that someone's had a phone nicked, and the description of the people involved is you and you.
You're taking the piss?
No.
No.
No, I'm not taking the piss.
No, he's taking the piss.
No.
These are two lads that if they wanted to kick off, they'd take some handling. So the last thing I want to do is be rolling around with people on the floor. So the best way to go into it is by talking.
Yeah.
It's not me, regardless.
Yeah, they've obviously picked two good-looking chaps and said it must be them that's nicked this phone.
Yeah, that's it.
That must be what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
If you weren't so good-looking, you wouldn't draw so much attention to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Look at that.
on that basis, I need to speak to you, I need to chat to you, and I need to search you and stuff, yeah?
It's not very fair, though.
What's not fair?
I've nicked nothing off no one for my entire life.
Well, that's commendable, but I don't know that. I've just been told a guy matching your description has done, and then the other description is a chap dressed in black with white motif on his top.
What, teeth?
Motif, not teeth. You've got white teeth as well. You clean them. A white motif. Well, we'll stay in the queue. We'll stay here, but we're going to search you both, essentially.
For somebody to say that.
These two chaps match the description.
Oh, so you can
Hey, lads.
You know what's happening?
What's my passcode for my phone? What goal? At the minute, obviously you're going to arrest.
He's got a phone in his pocket, a picture of a young family on it, and he doesn't know the PIN code for it. And he matches the description of a youth that's nicked a phone. If it's a robbery and they're both involved, he's got the phone in his pocket, but he might be part of the assault and everything and all that, mightn't he? So we don't want to let him disappear. But the information given, someone's been assaulted.
I'm willing to just give up.
Okay. That makes life easier, doesn't it? But essentially, you match the description of someone involved.
No one, so.
Yeah. So, but you need to be questioned about it. Yeah. Same as your mate, right? So you're going to get arrested on suspicion of a robbery. So you don't have to say anything, but it may be defensive to not mention. When questioned, something which will later line in court, and anything you do say may be given evidence.
It was two good arrests, effectively. It's two people locked up for a serious offence, which has ruined some young lads' night out.
He's involved in some way, shape or form. Whether he's assaulted anybody or nicked anybody's phone is what we'll find out, but that'll all be part of his interview, won't it?
I believe when they got punched, they'd fallen to the ground and hit their head on a curb. That could have easily been a fatality, and then these wouldn't have been locked up for robbery, they'd have been locked up on suspicion of a murder or a manslaughter.
When you're steaming drunk, before you go home, even if you have assaulted somebody and nicked the phone, you want a kebab. So they went to a kebab shop. If they'd have gone straight home, they'd probably struggle to find them, wouldn't they? But thank the kebabs.
With drunken violence ever present, police forces across the country deal with more than 40,000 assaults and robberies every month.
Unfortunately, there's not a day that goes by in police work where there aren't incidents of violence in some way, shape or form. It's awful, really. I mean, to use violence to get what you want is sick, isn't it? These people are the lowest of the low. I think as a nation we should be tougher on it, but we're not. We always seem to bow down to the offenders and feel sorry for them and let them do what they want most of the time, give them lenient sentences, and we need to be tougher on people that are the wrong side of the law, but we seem to fail to do that as a nation.
In this episode...
No comment.
No comment?
No comment.
Oh, aren't you smart?
the man who took a disliking to Dave Shaw and failed to provide at the roadside,
But you bite your nose off.
Really?
Yeah, well.
was tested in police custody
He's a bit wet, Sarge, because she's been in the river.
and provided an alcohol reading nearly twice the legal limit.
So he's going to be put in a cell to sober up. He'll be interviewed about it in the morning.
But he was released without charge for any offences, as it couldn't be proven he was driving. No action has been taken against him for the claims of assault.
I'll go through them with you, but they can't be
So it's going to get seized.
What do you mean by seized?
As in seized, taken away.
The man who had his car seized by Carl Jackson after allowing his drunk friend to drive it home received no further action against him.
I will drive his car home.
Not if you had a drink, you won't, will you?
Yes, I will.
Well, no, you won't.
The driver pleaded guilty to drink driving, no insurance, and driving otherwise in accordance with his licence, and was fined and disqualified from driving for 14 months.
He looks absolutely gone.
The man who veered off the road and crashed into a tree has been charged with failing to provide, driving without due care and attention, driving otherwise in accordance with his licence, and no insurance.
I said, you trapped in your own... Weren't me, I weren't driving.
He didn't sustain any life-changing injuries, but could be facing a lengthy driving ban. And one of the drunk men arrested in the kebab shop for allegedly violently stealing a mobile phone is currently released under investigation for assault, but no further action was taken in relation to the robbery.
Give up.
Okay.
No action was taken against his friend for any offences. The victim of the robbery was later released from hospital, but police are awaiting medical reports.
If you arrest me, take me cells. If I'm kicking off, it's going to make it a lot longer.
4 men were arrested for robbery and criminal damage that occurred at the hotel Chris Ryan was called to.
Bear with me, mate, I just need to go and look at CCTV for them.
2 were eliminated from inquiries for the robbery, but the investigation is ongoing. The men detained outside the hotel are currently released under investigation.
Pack it in! Pack it in! Pack it in!
And 2 suspects have been arrested for violent disorder in connection with the stabbings at the pub on Euro's final night.
So if you're able to help, yeah, but if you're able to help, that's good for us.
The investigation is ongoing.
People drink, people do drugs, and if you involve drink or drugs in most things, it's going to go wrong. Same way it goes wrong with driving. So you'll get people involved in fights, you'll get people involved in stabbings. We get domestic violence at home. You'll get people who might be involved in more serious things like having some access to a firearm. When we have matches and we have people in drink, it's almost like there's a switch. The moment that final whistle goes, somebody flicks a switch and they just become almost wild animals. You may as well open the gates at a zoo some days. It's no different. You may as